What part of Philly are you from?
I'm kind of a mix of Southwest and West. I've been back and forth my whole life.
What are some things you like to do?
I am a dancer. I'm also an actor, and I really like dealing with kids.
What do you value? What's important to you?
I say respect and family are kind of like my two biggest things.
Are there any plans for the future? Do you know what you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah, so this is a very wild one. First, I'm going to be a child psychiatrist. My plan is to install within like the city and the country settlement houses for queer youth. And then once that's set up, I'm going back to school for med, and I want to be a surgeon trained in cardiothoracic trauma and neuro, and be able to do like the crazier things. I'm sewing back heart muscles and veins, and this thing's bleeding, and I have to stitch this. I can't wait.
What inspired you, to want to do all those things?
Well, kids have always been kind of my thing. I didn't necessarily have the best home life. My kind of purpose in life is to kind of prevent that for other kids and provide them a safe space.
What was it like growing up for you?
It's a bit better now. I'm with my mother, my siblings, but I'm very visibly queer. And it didn't necessarily sit right with my father.
Do you feel like people your age also come from home lives that are not ideal?
Very much so. You have parents that aren't together. You have parents that despise each other. Parents, that kind of use their kids as weapons. You have kids where they can just, go out and run the street, and parents don't care. Parents are high, drunk, whatever the case may be. It's definitely kind of a correlation between where, how the home life is, and then where you kind of end up on the streets. Because if your home life is, kind of terrible, the streets sort of become your refuge, but they're not necessarily a refuge, they're just kind of an early death sentence.
And so how do you feel about, the neighborhood you grew up in?
It's gotten, increasingly worse. I live in Southwest currently with my mom, so it's kind of always been kind of quiet there where I'm at. Like stuff happens around me, but never like on my blocks.
What's worse?
Gun violence, murders, and overall just like safeness. Kids don't play outside anymore. Kids can't play outside anymore because you can just be chilling on your porch and all of a sudden your kid is dead. And I remember I used to be able to have friends. I would like go out in like the mid-afternoon, and when the first street light came on, I had to be at home. That was like kind of the general rule. But now there are no kids that play outside. Everyone's home as quick as possible. Everyone's scared because everywhere you turn, there's a shooting and someone's dead.
Has gun violence affected you personally or people you know?
Yeah, so I was chilling at my grandma's house in West Philly, sitting on the couch by the window, playing the Xbox, and all of a sudden I hear gunshots. I tuck and roll off the couch, and I'm on the floor, duck. And my grandma's like, get down. I'm like, I'm already down. I hear it too. And what happened was my cousin, he got shot. He was 3 doors down from my grandma's house. He got shot 17 times.
How do you and your family and your friends deal and cope with the trauma of gun violence?
It's kind of hard. We kind of just, keep our boundaries up now. We stay in touch more. We make sure we're taking precautions. Okay, you're leaving at this time. Call me when you get home. Call me as soon as you hit the door. And call me when you're locked up. Call me when you're in bed laying down. If we're out together, everyone's all together. We're moving as one. We're stopping as one. No one's running off. No one's running anywhere. Where it's always like a constant state of anxiety whenever we leave. It's kind of like an I'm gonna be next thing, like I watch everything. I watch, like if I'm walking past the street, I look and see if there's anyone on it. If I feel as though someone's following me, I'll pull up a phone and I'll be on the phone with a friend. I'll cross the street away from them, or, I'll take a different way home. I try and just to where I make sure I'm always aware of what's going on around me.
Is it exhausting doing all that? Like always having to be aware, always having to maneuver yourself a certain way?
Yeah, it's always very exhausting because when you're black, you already have a target on your back. You have to deal with police and you have to deal with racist white people. But when the issue comes from your own community and you have to watch every single person around you, it's kind of ridiculous.
You think that black youth, a lot of times, they have to grow faster?
A lot faster, especially when you're the older sibling, and even though you're like 16, you have a brother that's gone now. You have a dad that's gone. So now you have to step up and be the strong one because everyone around you is crumbling and you don't have the chance to crumble.
What starts there? Why are people getting shot so much here in Philly?
It's kind of just a new generation of those on the street. There's not necessarily a code of safety anymore. There's not any sort of protections where it's like, you said this, so I feel this way, and now we're in a shootout. It essentially boils down to petty feuds and, silly little fights and things. And, oh, I feel disrespected and, now I have to show I'm such a big macho man. I understand having a gun to protect yourself if something happens. But if we're arguing and then your instinct is to pull a gun out, how did we jump from A to Z? There's no conversation in between. There's no fist fighting. There's nothing. It's just automatic guns out blazing. Like I said, like the testosterone masculinity trying to show and prove that you're not no punk, but also like just because they can, almost anybody can have a gun in the city. And, you get caught on the charges, but you don't really do nothing but serve your sentence, come out, and then now you have another gun. It's not legal this time, but you got it just as easy as you got the first one.
What would you want to see happen to go back to that down?
I think we need to check our accessibility because, accessibility to guns is one of the biggest issues. So, check where they're getting it from. Check where bullets are coming from, where guns are coming from, how they're getting sold and how they're getting shipped. If these people don't have licenses, if they're not registered guns, how are they in our city? But it's up to the leaders in the government to make the changes. And I feel as though it's sort of a kind of, it doesn't affect me, so it doesn't exist type of thing. It doesn't affect me, so it's not as bad as you guys say it is. But it's worse than we say it is. Sort of like, they care enough to kind of try and keep us happy as if they're doing something, but they really don't care, which is why nothing has changed. If you are trying to fix the problem yourself, that doesn't work. You need to try something else. So if you were to band with the community and kind of make a group, sort of come to a group consensus on what needs to be done, you're trying harder. It shows you care. It shows that you value our opinion.